12, verse 1 and 2. Verse 1 and 2. Paul starts his letter by addressing the Gentile and the Romans by requesting them with a kind request. And verse 1, he started by telling them or addressing them, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that that you present your body as a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service, or which is an intelligent worship. Verse 2, and do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So here we find Paul is speaking about a living sacrifice, and that is my topic, a living sacrifice. That we have to present ourselves, our bodies, as a living sacrifice. You and I, we need to present our body before God as a living sacrifice. And not only a living sacrifice, but it has to be holy. And not only being holy, but it also has to be acceptable before God. And that is the service that the Lord needs from us. That is a reasonable service that the Lord requires from every one of us. And here, I think, Paul has reached to where we can call a maximum of his preaching to the Gentile and to the Romans. He's giving them, he's requesting them, he's beseeching them that if all of us, we can present our body to God as a living sacrifice. Not a lame sacrifice, not a dead sacrifice. Not a sacrifice that is not presentable before God, but a sacrifice that is presentable, a sacrifice that is holy, a sacrifice that is not unclean, but a sacrifice that is clean before God. I'm thinking about how can you present your body as a sacrifice? How can you present your body as a holy sacrifice? How can you become acceptable before God? And how can you worship God and you become a reasonable service before God? We all come to church to worship, but does our worship reasonable, acceptable before God? That is the question that all of us need to ask ourselves. You need to ask yourself, is as you are presenting yourself before God, are you being acceptable? Are you being holy? Are you reasonable before Him? Are you a living sacrifice? A sacrifice that has no blame. A sacrifice that will never die. A sacrifice that is presentable before God and not even human being. And that is the sacrifice that Paul is urging the Christians, that if for sure they are coming to church to worship, then they need to give their body as a living sacrifice. I think Paul is reminding us that we need to worship God with all our mind, with all our heart, with the Spirit, presenting our minds before Him, not having any distorted mind, not having any distorted actions before Him. And so, Paul is looking at the differences between the Jews and the Gentiles, our time, we set aside all that has been hindering us not to come to God wholeheartedly, not to present ourselves. And because verse 2 is talking about let us not conform ourselves into the acts of this world, but be transformed into the spirit, into the minds of God, and not into the mind of human being. When you look at this chapter 12 of Romans, you compare chapter 12 with chapter 1 as from verse 27 to the end. You will find that most of the Gentiles, most of the Jews were conformed of the things of this world. But now Paul is urging them that if we can leave all these things of this world and we be transformed into the image of Christ himself, we be transformed into the mind of God, we be transformed into the things of God, then the Lord will accept us as a living sacrifice before him. We will become holy, we will become presentable, we will become acceptable before God. But there is a lot of things that are hindering Christians not to be transformed and not to be renewed their minds, and they can't prove themselves before God as a living and acceptable sacrifice before him. And now Paul tells us in verse 2, and do not be conformed to this world. I want you to compare this verse that let us not be conformed to this world. We go to chapter 1, verse 27. Verse 27. I don't know if the projector you are projecting that verse 27. You are not there. If you are not there, I continue. But be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Our mind was set to captivity, doing things of Satan, doing wicked things. I don't know if it is me alone who is reading the media. Every time I go to media, you find a pastor has done this. A pastor has done this. A pastor has done this. I don't know if it is me alone meeting such a kind of news, or you are also meeting such a kind of news. The minds of people, the minds of leaders have been conformed to the things of this world. Even church leaders, even church pastors, they have been warned by the activities of Satan. And you find every time, that's why I'm meeting all this evil news about pastors. Pastor has done this. Pastor has done this. Pastor has done this. Wicked things all over the media. We come to church members. You find this church has done this. This church has done this. This church has done this. Not according to God's will, but things that are happening are wicked things. That you yourself, even when you hear about such a news, you are amazed at what is going on. Unbelievable things the church is doing. Unbelievable things church leaders are doing? Where are we heading to? It is because we are confirmed